Hello and welcome to Fuzzy Concepts. We're back after a bit of a break.
Yeah.
Adam McCarthy here, and of course being joined by Steve Brockhausen.
Indeed.
Traditional co-host. And we have Phil, who's he's pretty much a mainstay now at this stage.
He is. He's
been on
popping
Loudwood
in
3 or 4
and out.
times.
I know, yeah. And he's been around the show for a few years, so plus he does all the production work.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And he does, to be fair to him. So, it's good to highlight his talents.
Yeah.
I suppose we'll have another few weeks now of podcasts, and we might get a few different guests in.
Yeah.
Trying to find a few people.
A few people out there.
Sure.
There's bound to be some.
Yeah.
Nothing.
But our subject for tonight is generally flying. So airlines, things like that. Steve, you're not a big fan of flying.
Oh, I really, really don't like flying. Not a fan of it at all. It does terrify me. I've probably
Did that come from like an incident?
possibly.
Dennis Burkamp, or
Possibly. I think my first flight was when I was about 2 months old, and I've pretty much been flying ever since, all around the world. Still don't like it. I can vaguely remember, and when I was young, and it must still be with me, flying through a bad thunderstorm on the way to somewhere in Europe. And a lot of people freaking out in the plane and that. And I must have been very young, maybe 4, 5, 6 years old. Yeah,
Was it me and you,
still
Steve?
remember.
Was it me and you, Steve, were on that very, very bad landing from Manchester?
Oh yeah. I think they asked one of the passengers to land that plane.
It really bounced off the floor, like it really bounced.
Someone would have tried to land the plane.
Yeah.
Oh.
But to be fair,
because I know, Steve, you've been in one of those tiny propeller planes.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've been in ones where like there's like a curtain between you and the cockpit rather than a door.
Yeah.
Where you're looking out and you can nearly see in people's cars. You're so low to the ground while you're flying. But it's madness. But I will say one incident a few years ago. Airlines are generally very, very good if you're nervous of flying, and I do always tell them, because they do tend to look after you and check in on you. But a few years back, I was getting a late flight back from Toronto to Dublin, and I won't say which airline this because the pilot will probably be fired if they hear this. But I'd said it to one of the air stewards, I think they're now called.
Yeah.
And they went up and they'd said something to the cockpit. And the captain actually came back to talk to me before the plane took off. Yeah. And he asked, did I want to come up and have a look? Which they're not allowed to do anymore, as far as I know. That's why I don't want to say who it was or whatever. And 2 pilots there, and they actually offered if I wanted to fly with them in the cockpit for the flight.
Did you?
In the jump seat in the middle.
Did you do it?
No. I was with Claire at the time, and I wasn't going to just say, see ya, I'm off to the cockpit for the next. Yeah, I know. It would have been cool if I was by myself. I'd have done it, but I wasn't by myself on the plane. So, but it was nice of them to do that. But I'm sure highly illegal.
Massively illegal, I imagine, right?
Yeah.
Unless they thought you were the air marshal.
They could have been. They could have thought that, all right.
Maybe code is, I'm afraid of flying is the code for letting you know that there's an air marshal on board.
That could be it.
Which could be backfire all.
But again, like just going on traveling, me and Steve are always pulled by security when we go through. Every single time.
Always. I was pulled once at Latrobe International Airport. It can't even be considered an international airport.
How could that be an international airport?
I don't think it is. I think it's just a regional airport. And there was 5 of us getting on a plane, one of those small propeller planes, and they were like, oh, we're going to have to pull you aside for extra security. I was like, there's 5 of us getting on the plane. It's like a 20-minute flight to Pittsburgh. Really? That would be some low terrorist act.
Killing like 4 people and the pilot.
It's a 45-minute drive. It'd be the worst way to smuggle something to Pittsburgh.
If you flew that into a skyscraper, it wouldn't even hurt the skyscraper, I'd say.
No.
You just slip down the side.
Yeah, like a 20-minute flight or a 45-minute drive. Oh, that's crazy. I know. That's madness, but airport security for you.
So we'll go for some news. So I
Excellent.
only have a small bit of news. There's nothing major happening, really, to be honest.
There's nothing major happening in the world. The odd coup here and there.
Yeah, just the old odd coup. But if we went into a coup, if we went into coups every episode, we would never get it done.
Maybe that's a future episode for you to watch out for, coups.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that, I think.
Yeah, coups and failed coups.
And as part of it, we'll try and get involved in one.
Yeah, yeah.
As a feature.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll go with the news.
Yeah.
A senior Russian traffic officer accused of leading a criminal gang has been arrested on suspicion of accepting bribes. Police Colonel Alexei Safonov and 6 other people were arrested by Russia's investigative committee in the southern region of Stavropol. The officials, as part of the investigation, released footage of Safonov's mansion. So he's a traffic officer, but he had a mansion with its lavish rooms, extravagant decorations, a billiards hall, and even a golden toilet.
Yeah, nothing suspicious about that. Pay as well.
No. He's believed to have led a criminal gang which issues permits to grain cargo transporters in exchange for bribes. The permits allow the transporters to ignore regional laws even when crossing police checkpoints. The investigative committee of Russia, which is roughly equivalent to the FBI, said the group received bribes worth 19 million rubles, which is about 180,000.
Yeah.
Among the gang members arrested were former senior traffic officer, a traffic inspector, and 4 civilians.
Oh.
So if you ever see the local traffic cop in his house playing in his snooker room, sitting on his golden toilet,
that's what gave it away.
It's probably something to look out for.
Yeah, taking bribes. That's not like the Russians.
Taking lovely, but he's like, I know, yeah, he's hardly the only one. If he just paid off the investigative count or the investigative commission, he probably would have got away with it.
That's the problem. He bribed the wrong people. Yeah.
We go on to the next story, an interesting story from a corner of the world that Steve would know very well. It's a group of high school students in Massachusetts had to ride on a party bus complete with a stripper pole and neon lights during a recent field trip. An experience their teacher said highlights problems with the education system. Jim Ayers, 11th grade advanced placement language and composition teacher at the Brook Charter School in Boston, said in his since deleted tweet that the original charter bus had fallen through. He said, "It's a funny story, but there actually is a real bus shortage, and it speaks to major flaws in our education system." I'd say the students loved it.
I'd say they did.
Yeah, definitely.
100% they loved it.
But I do have some concerns about that bus.
Yeah.
They'd hardly allow people or strippers to use the stripper pole while the bus is moving.
Yeah.
Never know.
Yeah.
Very dangerous.
You'd think so.
If you go around a corner too quickly and all of a sudden the strippers break your neck.
Yeah. True. Very true.
Maybe that's the whole point.
Laugh.
That's the whole point. They're trying to get a sue job, money.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong. I can't see anything wrong with a group of 16 and 17-year-old teenage boys and girls together on a party bus. I can't see anything that could possibly go wrong.
No, nothing go wrong.
No.
I remember I was in Montreal, and there apparently on one of the bus routes, there was a certain driver on a Friday night and a Saturday night. If he picked you up on like his regular route, and you were going in to have party poppers and decorations up in the bus, and encourage everyone to start dancing, which again I think probably broke a lot of safety rules. But again, that was pre 9/11, so health and safety wasn't as stringent.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, ruining our fun, dancing on buses.
Yeah, I know. Or like in our case, Steve, where the Graham and Johnny fighting on buses while we were going down the motorway.
Yeah, nothing dangerous about that.
That was a small little bus journey we took to a concert.
Yeah. I think we were half the audience were on that bus.
Probably. There's about 10 of us. I never knew Glassjaw had that many fans in Cork.
Yeah. There was about 10 or 12 of us on that bus. Was there 7 or 8 or something? There was only about 20. And there was only about 20 at the gig.
I know.
Including that guy in the wheelchair with his minder who loved it, I'd say.
Oh, the minder, yeah, was having a great time. To be fair, the guy in the wheelchair was loving it. If there was enough people in the audience, we could have lifted him up, but there wasn't.
Yeah, that was the problem. There wasn't enough of us to get him in the air.
No.
We'd have passed him
Would have
back
been-
once and he'd have fallen.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll move on to a bit of finance news.
Oh, yes.
So, lads, what if I told you that there was a hamster
Mm-hmm.
who's been trading cryptocurrency since June, and his record so far is better than Warren Buffett and the
Oh,
Standard
yes.
& Poor 500?
Amazing.
So, sounds like that's where my wages are going this month.
So meet Mr. Gox, Goxx, a hamster who works out of what is possibly the most high-tech hamster cage in existence. It's designed so that when Mr. Gox runs on a hamster wheel, he can select among dozens of cryptocurrencies. Then
Oh,
deciding
yes.
between two tunnels, he
Yeah.
chooses whether to buy or sell. According to the Twitch account for the hamster, his decision is sent over to a real trading platform, and yes, real money is involved.
Oh, yes.
That's
Has he,
amazing.
has he made a lot for
What
his
we
owners?
can tell you is in his portfolio
Yeah.
is up nearly 20% since he started trading in June, according to
That's
the
not-
Twitter account.
It's not bad.
Not bad. Not
Yeah,
bad at
so-
all.
20% in 3 months. So
As
next
of
year
September 12th, so I'm not sure how he done the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
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 So as
So,
of
yeah.
September 12th, which is a couple of weeks ago, Mr. Gox was performing better than Bitcoin,
Yeah.
the Nasdaq 100, Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway, and the S&P 500.
Everyone
While
should
Mr.
get on.
Gox's methodology, what?
Everyone should get on it quick.
Yeah.
Hmm.
While Mr. Gox's methodology is random at best, it does remind us where people get their financial advice from is certainly changing. We've seen people getting tips from TikTok and from two kids in Baltimore. And in recent years, there have been more stock picking on Wall Street from bots. There you go. NPR even had built its own bot in 2017 that invested money based off President Trump's tweets. There you go. So Twitch,
There you
I
go.
think, Mr. Gox on Twitch. You can go on
That's
there
it.
and
Invest all your money.
I'd say invest all your money. There's no risk.
No risk.
No risk the stock market, as far as I remember.
Legally, I have to say that there's zero risk. Yeah.
Yeah. There's definitely no risk to trading in stocks.
No, you're guaranteed your money.
Yeah. That's how it works.
That's what we always say here on Fuzzy Concepts, where you can invest
Yeah.
in Concept Coin.
Yeah, which is coming out next month.
It's coming out next month, and it's guaranteed never to fall in price. That's an Adam McCarthy guarantee.
Yeah,
And I'm, of course, well known for my financial decisions.
that's it. We'll be doing a deal with the hamster to push us for us.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the news I have.
That's it.
Nice
The
bit of
world, the
coverage.
economy is in a great state. So when Reddit is deciding the stock market and hamsters are running cryptocurrency,
It's fine. It's not as if we're heading for a massive crash or anything like that. Absolutely not.
nah,
Not like Britain, where they're queuing up 5 hours for petrol again.
yeah. All they need, someone was saying the other day, all they need is a couple of mines to close down now in Britain.
I know, yeah,
Yeah.
perfect. Like back in the day,
Yeah.
down to a 3-day week again, which I actually wouldn't mind. 3-day
Yeah.
week would be great.
Yeah. None of this extra bank holiday once a year nonsense. Bank
No.
holidays are boring.
Yeah,
Probably be a
just tank
bank
the economy.
holiday in like November or something. Who
Yeah,
wants a day off in November? What are you gonna do?
exactly. Sit down and look at the window outside the rain.
Yeah.
Right, so we'll move on to the air carrier. Will I start with the list of air carriers banned in Europe?
Oh yeah, because that's kind of a big deal, isn't it? If they're banned in Europe, it's probably because they're not that safe to fly on.
Yeah, they're massively unsafe. Sometimes they're political, but most of the time
Yeah.
it's because they're not looking after their planes properly. So basically, I have a main list here, and it's a list of countries where their air industry is so bad that all of their airlines are banned from
Oh,
entering the
yeah.
EU. So if you want to go on holiday somewhere next year, this is probably
Yeah.
take down a list. If you're like a
Yes.
big adventurer,
Yeah. 50-50 odds making it.
yeah, exactly. So here we go. We'll start off anyway. So obviously Afghanistan, all
Yeah,
airlines
dodgy enough.
are banned there.
Very safe.
It's super safe there.
Yeah.
Angola,
Oh,
except for their tag Angola Airlines, and it's only certain planes of theirs. I think they have one plane that's allowed to enter the EU.
yeah, it's probably run by
otherwise-
the president's private
Yeah.
jet or something.
Yeah.
Armenia,
Oh no,
again, there was a war there recently, so I imagine that was probably
it's related to
Hell.
you might be shot down out of the sky.
yeah. Belarus, which is more political, considering that
Yeah.
they diverted that Ryanair flight.
Yeah, I think as long as you're not a journalist who hates Belarus, you'll probably be all right though.
Exactly, they'll welcome you otherwise.
Yeah.
And then we get into some of probably the more traditional countries that will be banned. So the Democratic Republic of the Congo,
Oh no.
and also the Republic of the Congo.
Yeah, they don't want to play favourites.
Yeah.
Either
Djibouti,
that now or the EU just can't tell the two countries apart. So they're
maybe.
playing it safe.
Yeah, both of you, it's fine. Djibouti
Oh,
and Equatorial Guinea, except for one plane by Seba Intercontinental. Again, probably the president's plane.
I want to go there.
the Equatorial Guinea.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Are you going there, Phil?
I really want to. And it just sounds like a place that would be good to visit.
I'd say it'd be nice. It's by the equator, so
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's in the name. It tells you.
So if, like ourselves, sponsored by Visit Rwanda, if Visit Equatorial Guinea want to sponsor us, we'll send Phil over
Yeah.
And
to
again,
do
they're probably,
a few holiday snaps for Twitter or whatever.
and they're praying for a clue as well, so that could
Yeah, yeah.
that could work with our one of our later episodes.
Mhm.
Eritrea. So
Oh,
so
That's
but then
still a
generally
country.
they don't really fly to most areas. I think they fly to Mecca, and that's about it.
I didn't even know that was still a country. I assumed someone had taken that over by now.
No, they're all right. They're flying it. They're a one party country,
Yeah.
and basically not many people are allowed in or out.
Or vote.
So, but I have watched their TV channel on YouTube a few times, and it's good patriotic stuff. Lots of brass band music and things like that, and
Yes,
that's when you know it's good TV.
that's it.
Iran, unsurprisingly,
Yeah,
that's again more political.
I'm
They
sure
have
their
one-
airlines are fine.
Yeah, one airline, Iran Asaman Airlines, are allowed.
Yeah.
I think they might fly to Frankfurt once a week or something like that.
I'm assuming being a neutral country, Swiss Air fly to most of these places.
Yeah.
I think generally, I think actually a country that probably flies to most of these countries is Turkish Airlines or Ethiopian Airlines. They seem to be the two airlines that decide to take a bit of a risk. So you fly to Istanbul, and from Istanbul, then you can fly to South Sudan or something.
Nice. We've had film screening on Ethiopian Airlines.
Yeah.
That's true, very true, actually.
You know,
But you never got free tickets out of it.
No, sadly not.
Sadly not.
No.
Disappointing.
I
Because I
think
would
that
like
was
to
on
go.
their-
I would like to go to Addis Ababa.
I think that was on their Dublin to LA route.
Oh yes. Because
Yeah.
Moengwe has a satellite system.
Yeah.
And his parents are away for the week.
That's it.
Iraq, apart from Iraqi Airways, is also banned.
Oh,
Yeah. Kyrgyzstan.
one of the worst stands, though, to be fair.
To be fair, it barely even has a vowel.
Yeah. That's
And
it.
you
It's
also
known as
have Liberia.
Uzbekistan. Oh, Liberia, yeah. How does George Weah get in and out?
You must go Air France or something.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe.
Might walk it.
You walk it.
That's a long walk
Or
Is
do
he
it
not
there.
the president there or something?
across the Sahara.
Yeah, he is too, I think. He is the president.
He was running for president, I think.
Yeah.
Might do a Dennis
Didn't need it.
Bergkamp on it. He might just go by boat.
It's a long way by boat.
That's a long way up as well. Libya.
Oh,
Again, I think that's more because probably if you try and take off there, you get shot down, I'd say.
probably. But look, you mightn't.
Moldova, which is close to home. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bit of a weird one.
I know that there are some flights that do fly to Moldova from Dublin.
Yeah.
So Air Moldova are all right, Fly One and Aero Transcargo, but every other airline in Moldova is
Yeah,
banned.
didn't they win the Eurovision about 10 years ago, 12 years ago? I think?
Maybe.
Yeah.
With some guy with a saxophone.
Nepal.
Oh,
Nepal.
Nepal?
Wasn't our
Yeah.
buddy Chris there a few years back?
Oh yeah,
I think he flew Turkish Airlines. Yeah.
they did because they got stranded in Turkey when
I've
there
seen
was
they flew
some
Turkish.
commotion or terrorist attack in the airport in Istanbul. I can't remember, or an
Yeah,
that's probably the
earthquake or
coup.
something.
Yeah.
Something happened on their way back.
So, and like Nepal, that'd be hard. Well, I suppose like a lot of the Nepalese airlines would be basically just propeller planes going into the mountains.
Yeah, I can't imagine flying over the Himalayas is fun.
Yeah. Well, I know that there's one airline or airport in Nepal which is basically the side of a mountain.
What could go wrong?
Yeah. So basically, you have to land, and there's basically it's about 500 meters, and you're like a sheer rock face. And when you're taking off, basically, there's a cliff at the end of the runway. So
Yeah.
if the airline doesn't, or if the airplane doesn't make it, you're basically screwed. But a lot of people do it.
Yeah.
Another one that's kind of unsurprising is Nigeria.
Oh,
A lot of their airlines are not the best for the old maintenance and things. And plus they fly planes from like 1968 over there as well.
that's probably not good. Yeah.
Yeah. They have one airline that's allowed in the EU, and that's Medview Airline.
Good luck,
sound
Jonathan.
very
Probably
strange.
owns them, or whoever their president is these days. He's long gone, I imagine.
I think he is gone.
He's probably stealing oil in the woods now or
Medview
something.
Airline. So Nigerian airlines don't even get in there, but I think they might have been sold off.
Yeah.
Sao Tome and Principe, which I'm not entirely sure where that is. I know it's in Africa somewhere. It's a couple of islands.
Yeah, I know.
Sierra Leone,
Ah,
they can't fly into the EU. No, Suriname, Blue Wing Airlines. Is that a popular holiday place for Dutch people?
I imagine it must be decent enough.
Well, they
place
do
to
speak
go
Dutch there. I know that, don't they?
Yeah, and half the Dutch team are
Come
probably
from
from there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Originally, or group came from there at some stage anyway. But yeah, I can't imagine it must be nice. I've not been there, but I mean, it's in a nice part of the world where I imagine there's nice beaches and things.
Paramaribo is the capital of Suriname. That's all I know. Turkmenistan, except for Turkmenistan Airlines.
Oh.
Venezuela, apart from Avior Airlines.
Yeah, is that an American thing, do you think?
Yeah, I would say so. And finally, Zimbabwe, except for Air Zimbabwe.
Oh.
But then
that's a weird one. Because Zimbabwe, you think
in Zimbabwe, it's probably the flights probably cost about £10 billion.
That's it. Yeah. £3 then the next day. And then 40 million the day after that. How long ago was that? Their money started going nuts for about a month.
That was about 15 years ago.
Yeah, there was suddenly a price of bread was the equivalent of €4,000.
Yeah, which is not good if you have your savings.
No.
In Zimbabwe in dollars.
And I do, sadly. But it's due to rebound any day now, surely.
Yeah, you're biding your time.
Yeah, I'm playing the long game with Zimbabwe.
There's North Korea are banned as well, Air Koryo.
Oh.
But they're allowed 2 aircraft, which are Tupolev Tu-204s, but they don't fly to Europe anyway. They used to fly to Berlin, but they don't bother anymore.
Yeah, I heard there was talk of them trying to bring the war to an end from the sister.
Oh yeah, she's the real power behind the throne.
Yeah, it seems like she was. Maybe we should end this war that's been going on for 70 odd years.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping I could kind of crack onto her maybe.
Yeah. She'd suit you. Yeah. And why not? There's 6-lane highways.
Yeah. I'd happily do it. You're all invited to Pyongyang then.
Nice.
The holidays.
Nice.
And some good news for Indonesia. All their airlines were lifted from the ban in 2018.
Yes. Do like Indonesian food, so that's good news.
Again, yeah.
I assume that's how it comes into Europe and not by, Indonesian people who live in Europe making the food themselves in their restaurants.
It's all flown in directly, you think, is it?
I like to think of it that way, like your man in Iran, when he used to get his lunches flown by Concorde from Paris before they kicked it. I like to think that's where my food comes from, that it's flown in in these countries just for me.
Another story I've heard is that Marty Pello from Wet Wet Wet
Yeah.
once ordered a curry from his favorite Indian restaurant in Glasgow and got it flown over to New York where he was.
Nuts. I
But I
thought you were
think,
going to
though,
say
once
his
you're on the
airline
flight-
banned from flying in Europe.
It's sitting there for five hours, like 6 hours. It's not going to be
Yeah.
that nice.
I wouldn't have thought so.
It's surely not worth it.
Yeah. I did read a story recently about a woman who, she lives in London, she's studying or something, and she really missed her cat from home in the States. And her parents, who were loaded, had the cat flown over by private jet to London to
What?
visit with her. So you had a crew of however many people there are in a private jet and just one cat sitting on the seats being flown over to London.
With full whisker service by the steward.
I'd hope so. I definitely would think that they allowed it out on the seats and around the plane while it was flying and didn't lob it in a cat carrier in the hold.
You'd hope so, yeah.
I like to think
Litter
so.
box in the cockpit.
Yeah. Yeah. What could go wrong with a cat loose in a cockpit? There's an episode of Air Crash Investigation.
It wouldn't be far off. There is one episode of Air Crash Investigation, which of course I'm a huge fan of. And you are as well, Steve, which is scary.
I really like it, yeah.
It doesn't really help you with your...
No, well, it does a little bit. Because the odds of those things happening twice are pretty rare.
And exactly, and all the episodes end with how they've mitigated everything and
Yeah.
it works better. I'm the type who'd watch it at 3 a.m. before a flight.
Yeah.
For entertainment purposes.
Get you going, yeah.
Get me going for the flight.
For the flight, yeah. I saw an episode recently of it. It's an old episode, but it was way back when like commercial aviation first became like reasonable in the States. And it was two planes had a mid-air collision because there was no talking to each other or towers or anything, and they were both trying to give their passengers a view of the Grand Canyon. At the same time, they had like check-in points along the way.
Yeah, is that they had like giant arrows as well on the ground.
Yeah, but other than that, it was like a free-for-all in the sky. I don't know how it didn't happen more often, to be honest.
Yeah. That's pure safety right there.
Yeah.
But
so yeah, you want to avoid all those airlines anyway.
That's probably for the best. But I mean, it doesn't stop you from going to these countries, because generally there'll be other airlines that will fly. British Airways fly to a lot of dodgy places.
I imagine so, and like I said, Turkish Airlines do, and Ethiopian seem to fly everywhere.
Yeah, it reminds me of that night when I was really drunk and I got home and I was in bed and I was tweeting the tourism board of Somaliland.
Yeah.
The breakaway Republic of Somalia, telling that I was going there on holidays, and they were delighted.
Yeah, I like to think that you had a whole village or something out with a welcome Adam banner, and then you never showed up.
And I never showed
up.
And
now they curse you.
Yeah.
Yeah, they talk
I'd be
about
goosed if I ended up going through the security there. They were like, "Hey, you're supposed to be here 5 years ago."
Yes, they killed the people. They chucked out. The Irish embassy is now gone from Somaliland.
You're Adam McCarthy III.
Yeah.
They haven't blocked you on Twitter, I hope.
I don't think that their account exists anymore, which is unfortunate. Maybe they're really hoping on my money. They're really counting on it.
Yeah. But maybe at least the country still exists anyway. So
that's not really recognised by any other countries, which probably would have been a bit of an issue for me for my holidays. But look, I wish them the best.
That's it. You did, and you will visit one day.
I will once they're recognised.
Once Angolan Airlines flies there again.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. I have a few bits and pieces here before we talk about some of the mad flights and things that we're going to talk about. And these are just things that have happened on planes that come from people who work on planes. Okay. And this is from someone called Farida Boland, who was a flight attendant and is also a founder of some website, holidaypromocode.com. May not exist anymore. I don't know. But anyway, she was on a, and if they do, they can sponsor the show as well if they want.
Yeah, they're more than welcome.
Yeah. She heard a baby cry and couldn't figure out where the sound was coming from. The cries were kind of muffled, so the sound seemed to be coming from nowhere in particular. And then she realised it was coming from one of the overhead luggage bins. Turned out one of the passengers had managed to stow her baby snug in its bassinet into the overhead bin without anyone seeing. And believe it or not, she explained, this wasn't a sign of that the woman was a bad mother. Rather, in some cultures, it isn't uncommon for first-time flyers to be under the impression that the overhead bin isn't just a place to store carry-on luggage, but also a perfectly cosy sleeping cove for a newborn or infant baby.
Yeah, it works perfectly.
And they definitely don't warn you things in the overhead compartment might move about during flight.
No, it would only slide around a bit on takeoff and landing.
Yeah, so they're fine.
They'll probably send it to sleep. All the movement.
Yeah. This is like a vision into my future here about this old lady. They were in the middle of boarding a plane, and an old lady came up with a flight attendant in a panic, realizing she'd left her teeth in the bathroom in the airport. She was really upset because it was Thanksgiving. She was visiting her family and she needed her teeth to eat. So the flight attendant spent 10 minutes talking to the captain and to the people at the gate to try and locate her teeth. They were eventually found, but the plane had to leave, so they had to FedEx her teeth.
I hope it was before Thanksgiving dinner, because that would be everyone else enjoying their turkey, and there she is.
Yeah, liquidizing it in the corner.
Yeah, liquidizing it.
This one then says a grown man dressed as an elf walked onto an aircraft and showed us his boarding pass like everything was normal. He was a tall man, probably in his 60s or even as old as his 80s. He was pretty drunk, but he wasn't being offensive to anyone. They just weren't going to serve him any more alcohol. They couldn't ask him to leave the plane because he wasn't really doing anything wrong. He was just drunk getting on, and he wasn't harassing anyone or anything. But the other passengers were kind of looking at them for reactions. And this person says they could barely look at him without laughing. He was just sitting in the end seat dressed as an elf. Everyone else was dressed normally. And the weird thing is, it wasn't close to Christmas. It was early October.
A Halloween costume.
Yeah, in early October.
He just really liked Christmas.
Yeah, maybe he was a real elf.
He should have held up a sign that said like 90
He's on his holidays before the rush.
He should have had a sign. He should have a big sign that said 30 days to Christmas or whatever it was.
Yeah.
45 days to Christmas.
He's just peeping out.
But like again, like Steve had
reminding people that Christmas is coming.
But Steve, you have your Christmas tree up usually all year round.
Usually I take it down. We're filming a few months ago, sadly, for the first time in 2.5 years.
Oh.
I know. It'll be going back up soon enough. I mean, it's bad when you have to dust your Christmas tree. That's a sign that's been up too long, I think.
Yeah.
But it's lovely to have a bit of greenery in the house. I always say.
That's it. Yeah, exactly. This is another person. They said they were on one of those small prop planes on a very short flight, the ones I was talking about earlier, where you can see into the cockpit. And they said, I just about had a heart attack when mid-flight the co-pilot rolled down his window with wild visions of action movie sequences where people get sucked out of the plane flashed through my head. The co-pilot calmly used the breeze to sweep back and fix his hair before rolling the window back up. And they're saying, I guess in unpressurized propeller planes, you can roll down the windows with no ill effects.
Yeah.
Is it under 15,000 feet or something like that?
He did later try that on a Boeing 777.
No. I'm not sure. I don't know. Can you roll down those windows mid-flight? In the cockpit?
No. You can in those propeller planes, but definitely not in the bigger jets.
Yeah. Here's a story about a frequent flyer. A woman was flying from Seattle to San Francisco. Unexpectedly, the plane was diverted to Sacramento along the way. The flight attendant explained that there would be a delay, and if the passengers wanted to get off the aircraft, reboarding would commence in about 50 minutes or so. Everybody got off the plane except one lady who was blind. This person said they noticed that the lady was blind because she had a guide dog that laid quietly by her feet throughout the flight. He could also tell she'd flown before because the pilot approached her and called her by name. Pilot said, Cathy, we're in San Francisco for almost an hour. Would you like to get off and stretch your legs? Blind lady said, no thanks, maybe Buddy would like to stretch his legs. All the people in the gate area came to a complete standstill when they looked up and saw the pilot walk off the plane with a guide dog for the blind. And even worse, he was wearing sunglasses.
Well, those planes fly themselves, really, so.
Yeah.
He should have got a loan for a stick as well and sunglasses.
That would have been brilliant.
So other things about, I suppose we could talk about air rage. That was a big thing for a long time, and it's kind of getting big again now with people giving out about kind of masks and stuff like that. But there have been a few like famous people who have been caught for air rage, and some of them ended up in jail. So Peter Buck from R.E.M. was a famous one.
Yeah.
I think he was flying to London, and I know, was he on antibiotics or something, and he started drinking.
Yeah, the classic pill and alcohol combination.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he ended up. I don't think he assaulted a steward or stewardess, but he wasn't far off it. I think he was.
Yeah.
Kind of. I think he put his arm out to kind of push her away or something like that. Yeah. So he got and all I really remember from that story was like him and Michael Stipe outside the police station in Heston, this really suburban police station. A lot of media around, kind of saying, "Oh, it didn't really have to be like this, and we're sorry to the stewardess and all that." And Ian Brown was jailed for about 4 months, I think. Ian Brown of the Stone Roses.
Yeah. What did he do? Hijack?
Yeah, he was accused of assaulting a stewardess.
Well.
And I think he might have pushed her, I think. And he ended up in jail for 4 months, which is mad.
Pretty severe.
That is pretty, but I think that was the time when there was a lot of it happening, and it was really in the media a lot. So generally, sometimes the judges will make an example.
Yeah,
they will.
Exactly.
And who else was there? I think Dolores.
Well, I just saw a story about the lad.
Who?
Bam Margaret.
Oh yeah, well, that's not surprising.
Yeah.
He was led away in handcuffs.
Yeah.
These days he's pretty messed up, so yeah, that wouldn't be too surprising.
Yeah.
These days all you hear is stories of people being duct taped to seats.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems to be the new thing.
That's the new thing.
Which I'm sure that's going to go wrong at some stage.
Like, as someone who's a nervous flyer, I'm wondering why airlines need so much duct tape on board.
Yeah.
Well, they need to close the window. They need to close the window in the cockpit.
Yeah, they're trying to smooth back his hair before they land by opening the window.
Yeah. Dolores O'Riordan from the Cranberries. Rest in peace.
Yeah,
she had a bit of an episode on an Aer Lingus flight into Shannon, I think it was, and I think she did hit a stewardess. But so there's lots like, and I think why it happens. I think drink is always a major issue.
There always seems to be drink involved.
I'm sure, I don't know, is it like the difference in air pressure that people get drunker quicker or something?
Yeah,
they do. I think definitely.
Yeah.
I have to say, in all the
flights, also you have to think, like, go on.
I've never seen an unruly passenger on any of the flights I've been on.
Oh, really?
I did once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That but that's just the way it is. Look, I guess.
I did once, but they didn't turn into fisticuffs or anything like that. But he was just a bit belligerent.
Yeah.
And I suppose another thing that doesn't help is when when certain people are waiting airside for their flight,
Yeah.
When you're waiting like 3 hours. And of course they have a lovely big bar in every airport.
Yeah, people do get grumpy. Plus it's like this need that my flight there is at 8 a.m. I'm gonna have a drink at 7 a.m.
Yeah, exactly.
Why that's suddenly
for some reason airports seem to be any of the social rules around drinking don't seem to exist in the airports.
Yeah.
But personally, I wouldn't fancy a pint at 7.
Yeah, and I Murphy's now at 7 o'clock in the morning.
An alcohol ban on American flights at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of airlines at the moment have banned all sorts of service.
I hate.
I know they've calmed down a bit, but especially during the COVID, they weren't handing out anything.
Yeah, I'd hate being on a long flight. I could see a flight halfway through it, halfway.
Oh yeah. Which was pretty wild. As well as that, like when you're talking about fights, Phil, we might as well ask you about it. It was on the news all over the place last week, because as our regular listeners will know, you're a big wrestling fan.
Yeah.
And they had an episode of what's it called again? Dark Side of the Ring.
Yeah, Dark Side of the Ring, where a a lot of wrestlers did not come out in a good light.
Yeah.
Give us the background, Phil. What happened on this flight?
The background is they went to the UK for a tour, and when they were coming back, they got on the plane and they were supposedly, from what I heard, they were waiting 6 hours before it took off. And I don't know why they even were staying on the plane in the first place. You should have removed them.
So
and
they were just drinking.
In that 6 hours, I think they said they went through 2 carts of alcohol. But there's a weird story about it because people said Vince McMahon was on the plane.
Yeah.
He wasn't, though.
Well, I don't know, because there's controversy about that one. Someone said he was, someone said he wasn't. But the thing is, if he was on it, like, surely none of this would have happened.
What I
Yeah, you imagine so.
What I found suspicious about the whole flight, and I wouldn't know as much as you, obviously, only I did watch the episode, is you had the likes of Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Undertaker, people like that, you know, that people really know and love.
Yeah.
Like, if they were on the plane, if they weren't up to something, they also weren't doing anything to help.
Yeah,
like, it seems like it was only these people doing stuff. Everyone else was really good.
And the thing as well, they used like Kurt Hennig and Scott Hall's past as scapegoats.
Yeah.
Well, poor old Scott Hall.
But go on, tell us what happened, Phil, though.
I suppose there was so much shit that went down. The lads got so drunk that I suppose Ric Flair exposed himself to
the stewardesses.
X-Pac cut off Michael Hayes' ponytail. Bradshaw knocked out Michael Hayes.
And wasn't there like a wrestling match on the plane?
Brock Lesnar
in the air.
Brock Lesnar and Kurt Hennig almost fell out the door. Well, when I say almost fell out the door, they hit the door.
Smashed into the emergency door.
And Vince McMahon apparently had a fight with Kurt Angle on the flight as well.
Now, people are saying that was another flight.
Yeah, see, that's where there's conflicting stories. But Goldust as well, like I think you were saying, Adam, he's like your man in The Simpsons.
Yeah. So basically, he went down. He got a hold of the steward's PA, so he started singing a song to his ex-wife, who was also on the plane.
Yeah, and the
so
thing
it was very much like Kirk Van Houten in "Can I Borrow a Feeling?"
She wanted to tell us. She wanted to say a lot of stories, but people kept telling her, "Don't sell it."
Yeah.
But she could always have a book. You never know.
But the thing is, like, there's so much stuff that went on in it. Like, a lot of them should have been fired.
Yeah. Now, we'll say, for people who don't know about this wasn't a commercial flight. No. They chartered a plane. It was just wrestlers on the plane. It wasn't like there was ordinary passengers on the plane as well.
But I would have been taking money for the fights.
The thing about it is, why was it? I'd love to know why it was grounded so long that they weren't removed.
Sometimes there might be technical issues with the plane, or
6 hours seems a really long time to be like drinking on a plane.
They could be trying to fix something in the engine, or
they don't usually allow you to drink on the plane when you're waiting.
I suppose.
No, they usually don't make you wait on the plane for 6 hours.
Yeah. And also, there's a story about Brock Lesnar exposed himself to Goldust's wife as well.
Not on the plane, though.
Well,
as far as we know.
We don't know. But just speaking of wrestling and other kind of plane rides, they were kind of held hostage in Saudi Arabia in 2018.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that was. They went over for some show in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
And then, well, the story, which it could be false, but apparently there was some disagreement about pay or something like that.
Yeah.
And they hadn't agreed. And basically, when they tried to take off, the Saudi Arabians basically stopped them from taking off.
Yeah. And apparently there was a big payoff recently about this case. So I don't know, will we ever know the full truth about it?
Well,
probably not. But I do remember the pictures of all the wrestlers kind of like standing on the tarmac behind the plane going, we don't know what's happening.
Sure, they missed SmackDown at the time.
A lot of them missed, they missed shows, didn't they, in America afterwards.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It would be fun. It's not one place I'd like to be stuck.
No, definitely not.
But apparently, after the second match, Vince McMahon and his crew legged it. because they knew that they were going to get stuck.
Oh,
They
they decided fact that they had
Yeah,
their own private flight.
yeah.
Yeah.
Out.
There's an awful lot happens on flights with sports teams and things as well that we never hear about.
Well,
Yeah,
any charter flights, you'll never hear about it.
Yeah. I say there's an awful lot goes
And
down.
it's a thing these days, especially with footballers, is that they get paid so much money these days
Yeah.
that they can basically afford. So a lot of footballers and things and rich people even, they don't actually own the planes that they fly on. But what they'll do is they'll hire it like an Uber or something.
Yeah.
There'll be an app and they'll say, oh, I want to fly from here to here at this time.
Yeah.
And then they'll come back with like results of companies kind of quoting them. So
And
footballers these days, if they're going on holidays, even if they only go to Spain, they'll take
Yeah.
a private jet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'd say a lot happens too with American sports. Like, not too many stories come out, but I'd say a lot where you've like basketball and baseball players, especially, who are constantly flying all over the country.
Yeah.
I'd say there's a lot of stuff there that just will never come out. Like you said, part of the deal with chartering a plane is that they do keep things quiet, because otherwise others won't hire them.
Yeah,
exactly.
But apparently the girl that was talking out actually got paid off. Back in the day.
Yeah. Obviously that's gone now, however long that was.
And also as well, it came out recently that she was apparently a jewel thief.
Well, look, they didn't pay her enough.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
An alleged jewel thief, yeah. Our lawyers that we don't have will be onto us.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Invisible lawyers.
Just I'd say just the stories I'd imagine back in the 80s and all this stuff on flights like this would be insane.
Oh, crazy, I'd imagine. Absolutely nuts. I have some horoscopes here for us as well that we can go into.
Good.
And then we have we had one person message us about a dodgy incident with them in an airport, so we can talk about that as well. But I'll go through these quick.
Talk about
that. Aries, it says your dyslexia finally comes to the rescue as people are too polite to tell you how bad your spelling is, leading to an amazing score in Scrabble. Oh, there you go. Sagittarius, at the end of the day, it is only you who can make yourself feel bad. That said, an awful lot of people are going to give it a go this week. Taurus, you've often been accused of just jumping on the bandwagon, such as your need to be on the winning side. But deciding to suddenly start cheering for heart disease is a new low even for you. Gemini, I wouldn't describe next week as your best week ever. Worst would be more a word we would go for.
Oh dear.
Cancer, is there a new love around the corner for you? Well, we looked. There isn't.
No.
So there you go. Leo, having an award having an award or a building named after you, rather, is a great honor. So I guess having a new horribly painful and debilitating illness named after you is kind of cool as well. Capricorn, we applaud your solo efforts and the work you have put in, but we think what your love life now needs is a woman's touch.
Hey, I'm Capricorn, and that is bang on the money.
See, they're true. Aquarius, your attempt to solve a complex math problem this week surprisingly leads to a triple leg fracture. Pisces, you will struggle to sleep next week as your mind ponders the big questions of the universe. Although, to be fair, it is mostly trying to decide who had the best professional wrestling haircut that is keeping you awake.
Owen Hart.
Yeah? Bill? Best wrestling haircut of all time?
Red Rooster.
No, what's your man with the mullet and the Barry Horowitz?
Barry Horowitz.
Poor Brutus the Barber. Libra, you give new meaning to a beautiful bouncing baby when, due to health cutbacks, you are forced to have your baby delivered in a bouncy castle. I'd say we're not far off that, the way the health service is going here. Anyway, Scorpio, you will soon end up relying on drugs just to make it through the day. Don't worry though, it isn't a habit or anything. It's more medical orders to try and give you another 6 months.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh my God.
Virgo, you're in for a big change when from next Tuesday on, your life will be described in 2 parts. what happened before the incident next Tuesday, and what your life is like since the incident.
Oh my God. These are fairly dark ones this week.
And that's it. That's all. That's all of them.
Oh. So let's go on to a listener story.
Oh yeah, I'm going to try and get this right, so I'm going to read this from my phone.
Yeah, don't do me on it.
yeah. For those who don't know, Phil is brilliant at leaving out the key detail in a sentence.
Yeah, always.
It just changed the meaning enough that it sounds way more horrific than it actually is. An example you could give is, I might say something like, "Oh, Tom was murder last night." And he would be telling that to someone. He'd be, "Steve said he murdered someone in town last night." It's just little tweaks to the sentence and the meaning like that.
I was once told that my camera work was it dirty or something?
No. You were using a really old camera.
Yeah.
And someone was saying, "Oh, it must be rough using a camera like that." And Phil thought they said my camera work was rough.
And he was getting odd.
Yeah. There you go. And this was from Emmett, who was on our show before. So people will remember Emmett from the Beatles, I think we were talking about with Emmett. Yeah. He was kept for 2 hours in LAX because it was his first time in the States, and they wouldn't let him text the person who was coming to collect him, or make an announcement over the intercom on my behalf in case they would be potentially alerting an accomplice.
Oh dear.
Well, if anyone's seen Emmett's passport photo, they know.
Yeah, they'll know
he does look fairly dodgy.
Well, yeah, his first trip to America, to LAX, meet a guy that he knows who works for Disney, who he had no way of communicating with other than, "This is when my flight is getting in," and he was held for 2 hours to be interrogated before they finally did let him in.
Yeah, that's American immigration for you.
Yeah,
they do tend to tend to take things extra serious.
Yeah, they do.
One thing I'll always say is never make a silly joke.
No, they
US immigration.
No,
they do not like it.
Although Steve, you did do one on Twitter a few times.
Yeah, once or twice. But like, that just proves that they don't really check Twitter.
Well, yeah, like, I mean, you did tweet the CIA when I was in the air once.
Yeah, well,
saying there was a risk on board.
Oh, I just used code words and wondered would they pick up on it. It was something like, "I hope that package makes it to the wedding safely."
And I was followed for my entire holiday that time. I do remember there was cars following me everywhere.
Yeah, I've had a few good chats with security officers in the States. It does help that I had a visa, I suppose. That kind of helps.
True.
But yeah, just chatting about bits and pieces and bits and bobs, because nobody takes time to get to know them, I feel. You know, and what their likes and dislikes.
I know. No one asked, "How are you?"
Yeah, nobody ever asks them questions about how their day is and what they're doing in the city. So
I do remember I was flying into.
Next time you're flying into America, try and ask the TSA officer how their day is going.
Their day is going.
Yeah, and why are they? You know, how they find living in this city. You know.
And just make sure to look over your shoulder multiple times and have your legs shaking at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll finish it there. Thanks, Phil, for coming along.
Yeah.
Here's Phil.
And we'll be back again in a couple of weeks, I imagine, and we'll try and find some sort of a guest.
Yeah.
I have a couple of people in mind.
Cool. And
we might try and get catharsis back if we can find
the Chuckle Brothers.
The Chuckle Brothers.
There's only one left.
Well, there's only one of them now, Phil, unfortunately. But we probably could get him on.
Yeah. I'd say 30 quid, like.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants to sponsor that, because we don't have 30 quid.
No, we don't.
You can probably tell. But there you go. But yeah, catharsis would be good. That would be a real throwback to the old days.
Yeah, so I'll see if I can get in touch with her and see if she's up for it.
Good stuff.
She may have matured and moved on, unlike us, but there we go.
Unlike us, yeah.
Well, anyway, thanks to everyone for tuning in, and thanks again to Steve and Phil, and we will be back very soon. Good luck.